thank you for tuning into my channel, and we're back with week 2 of my camera series. And today, let me get my notes out. Today I am going to talk about what mode you should always shoot in and what mode you should stay away from. And I think this is important because I think a lot of people go out and buy DSLRs and they turn it on and they just start shooting, which is fine, but you need to play with all of your functions. And especially when it comes to video, I think the mode you shoot in for video is more important than the mode you shoot in for photography, because it's a lot easier to correct a photo than to correct a video. Because with the video, if you're shooting multiple subjects, you're gonna have different subjects with different colors, and you may overcorrect on something when you're trying to just correct one thing. So the mode that you should stay away from is auto. Do not ever shoot in auto for photography or for video. The reason why is because you cannot change any settings when it comes to auto. When you turn your camera on, if it's on auto, it's a little A that's on your camera, and this is universal to any DSLR camera. You are not allowed to change, the ISO, which is what I mentioned in my last video. The ISO, I say, is the sun out. You're not allowed to change it. So if you have a subject that is very, very bright, you're not allowed to bring that ISO down. It's just going to adjust to whatever, and you're not going to get the best video. I see a lot of videos on YouTube, and I can tell by looking at them, you're shooting in auto. Step away from auto. It's easy, but that's why you should step away from it. If you're gonna do video, if you're gonna do photo, and you're gonna put it out there, do not do easy. You want to do manual. Manual is the mode that I always shoot in. Manual is the mode that I'm shooting in, making sure I'm autofocus. I'm shooting in right now. I always shoot in manual because I can control every single setting on my camera. I can control the aperture, I can control the f-stop, I can control the shutter speed, and don't worry, I'm gonna tell you what all of those mean. And when I can control all of that, that means I'm going to get the best photos and I'm going to get the best video. And so I'm gonna explain to you what all those things mean as far as control. And I'm gonna link the website that I'm reading this from down below. So please, please, if you're a person who does YouTube videos and you're kind of stuck on what to do as far as your videos go, read that. Okay, so I'm gonna read exactly what these modes mean, okay? So the aperture. The aperture is the hole at the center of your camera shutter or iris. If you're aiming for a professional blurred background or artistic bokeh, it helps you set your aperture, also known as the f-stop. So aperture is great when you're shooting if you want to focus on one subject. So this is great for photography, or it's good since I want to focus on me, I want to set the aperture to be very, very clear. And it can basically be thought of as a means of adjusting the amount of your picture that is in your focus. So this goes back to photography. So if you're shooting like a flower, or you're shooting, or your planner supplies, you want that to be your focus, and you don't want to focus on anything else, so you want to make sure you focus on it. That's your aperture. The lower the F number, the more light reaches your sensor, and the more of your background is blurred. The higher the F number, the greater the field of focus, and the more your picture will be in focus. In other words, a low F number gives you more light with a blurry background, and a high F number gives you light and a sharp background. The F number is the f-stop. So the f-stop basically is what it is. It's gonna, if you back up more from your subject, you're gonna get more of the background. If you're very close on it, you're gonna get only what you're trying to shoot. Shutter speed. Your shutter speed can be thought of as the amount of time your camera shutter is open, allowing the light to hit your camera's light sensor, typically denoted as a fraction of a second, 1 out of 125. Your shutter speed will have an effect on the sharpness of your subject. Lower shutter speeds let in more light, but make your image susceptible to blur and requires a steady hand or a tripod. Faster shutter speeds let in less light, but can give you a sharper image and an image less susceptible to unsteady hands. Shutter speed, if you want a very fast shutter speed, that is something you would use if you're at a sporting event. If you want to take a bunch of images at one time of an athlete running, that way it will not be blurry, it'll be very, very clear. But when you are taking a picture of just a subject, a standalone subject, you want your f-stop to be very low, okay? All right. talked about this a little bit last week. ISO can be thought of as your camera sensitivity to light, with typical ranges on DSLR being from 200 to 1600. The lower the ISO number, the more light is required to get a good exposure on your photographs and less noise you will see in resulting images. The higher ISO numbers allow you to shoot better quality photo in lower light conditions. So, like I said last week, if your ISO, if you're in a lit room like this, your ISO is probably going to be somewhere in the middle. My ISO right now is 400. Usually I will do 400 when I'm filming myself, but if I'm shooting down for like a plan with me or something, it's going to be 200 because it's white on the background. So with the white and the light going onto it, it's a very, very bright subject. So with that said, when you are shooting in manual, you get to control all of that. And when you first start shooting in manual, you're not gonna get it on the first try. Your picture's either gonna be too blurry, or it's gonna be too light, it's gonna be too dark. It's just not gonna be where you want it. My best piece of advice is just to put your camera in manual. If you have a touch screen, mess with the different functions on there, and just shoot in manual. When you shoot in manual, either for photography or for videography, you are going to get the best pictures. So step away from auto, step away from it, don't touch it anymore, go to manual, and I can guarantee you your videos are going to be a lot better. And you're gonna learn a lot. You're gonna learn that you're probably overcorrecting your videos, you're gonna learn that you're overcorrecting your photos, and you're gonna be like, well, shit. And so that is what it is. And I do want to talk a little bit about video editing, because when you shoot in manual, the less you have to do when you edit a video. So I like to do the least amount of work when I'm editing pictures and when I'm editing a video. Now, when I shoot in manual, I do the least amount of work for video because I'm just shooting myself or I'm just shooting a subject. All I have to do is basically cut off the beginning, cut off the end. But when I'm shooting pictures, I may want to make the black darker, the white brighter, so there's a few variables that go into that. And next week you will see how I edit my professional photos and you'll see me mess with all that. But when you're editing a video, if you shoot in manual and you have lighting, or whether you use natural light as a window as natural light, when you go to edit, I use iMovie. When you go to edit, leave the hues alone. And what the hues are, at the top there is this like yellow and then blue. Don't touch it. And then you'll have like a rainbow. Don't touch it. Don't touch these, because you are going to F up your videos. It's going to either be too blue or it's going to be too yellow. And then when you do that, you're going to overcorrect. You're going to do all this other stuff. So if you shoot in manual and you have a good lighting source, whether it's a big window or lights like I have, you are not going to have to touch all that when you edit. So shoot in manual, okay? And leave the hues alone when you're about to edit your video. Don't even touch it. Pretend it doesn't exist, like auto. Leave auto alone, leave the hues alone, and you will have a much better video. I would rather have a low light video than an overcorrected video. I would rather have just a video the way it is than an overcorrected video. Because when it's overcorrected, I can't focus on anything else. So yeah, there we go. So the mode you want to stay away from is auto. The mode you want to shoot in is manual. And I will link all that down below. And I hope this video helped you. It's a little bit shorter than the last one, but it's short and to the point. And I hope you learned some things about your camera today. So I will see you all later. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed, go ahead and do that. And I will see you all next time.